the latest 338 Canada seat projection for the upcoming federal election. Let's break down the numbers region by region. Now let's break down the latest seat projections for the territories and the 3 federal districts. These regions may not hold as many seats as the provinces, but they can still play a crucial role in shaping the overall election outcome. Liberal Party of Canada, LPC. The Liberals are currently leading with 2 seats. However, their range is between 0 and 3, meaning their hold on these territories isn't entirely secure. If they perform well, they could sweep all 3 seats, but if the tide shifts, they might be completely shut out. New Democratic Party, NDP. The NDP is projected to secure 1 seat with a potential range of 0 to 2. This suggests that while they have a foothold in these regions, their position is not guaranteed, and a strong push could either strengthen or weaken their presence here. Conservative Party of Canada, CPC. For the Conservatives, it's not looking great. Right now, they are not projected to win any seats in the territories or the federal districts. Their range, however, goes from 0 to 2, meaning they still have a narrow pathway to gain representation here. But the downward arrow indicates a decline in their support compared to previous elections. With small margins and competitive races, these regions remain unpredictable. If the Liberals manage to hold or even expand their lead, it could give them an edge in the national seat count. But if the NDP or Conservatives manage to flip some of these districts, it could shift the balance of power. As we get closer to election day, these numbers could change. So keep an eye on the territories and the federal districts for potential surprises. Now, let's shift our focus to British Columbia, a key battleground with 43 federal districts up for grabs. This province has historically been a mix of political leanings, and this election is shaping up to be just as competitive. Conservative Party of Canada, CPC. The Conservatives are currently leading with 24 seats, but their projected range is 19 to 30, meaning their support is slipping compared to previous numbers. The downward trend suggests they could lose ground, especially in urban and suburban districts where their hold isn't as strong. However, if they manage to hold onto their core ridings, they could still secure a dominant presence in the province. Liberal Party of Canada, LPC. The Liberals are showing an upward trend, currently projected at 13 seats, with a possible range of 8 to 18. This indicates that they are gaining momentum in certain ridings, possibly benefiting from vote splits between the NDP and the Greens. If they can push toward the upper end of their range, they could challenge the Conservatives more aggressively in key districts. New Democratic Party, NDP. The NDP is also seeing a positive shift, now projected to win 5 seats, with a range between 2 and 7. Their numbers suggest they have room to grow, especially in districts with strong labor and progressive support. If they continue this upward trajectory, they could play spoiler in close races or even flip some ridings in their favor. Green Party of Canada, GPC. The Greens are projected to hold 1 seat, but their range extends from 0 to 2, meaning their presence in British Columbia remains uncertain. While they have historically performed well in certain pockets of the province, their ability to hold or gain seats will depend on how their support consolidates against the Liberals and NDP. British Columbia remains a crucial battleground, with the Conservatives still in the lead but facing potential losses. The Liberals and NDP are both gaining ground, and the Greens have a chance to maintain or expand their presence. With so many competitive ridings, this province could play a decisive role in shaping the final election outcome. Now let's turn our attention to Alberta, a province that has long been a Conservative stronghold. With 37 federal districts, this region plays a significant role in shaping the national election outcome. However, while the Conservatives maintain a commanding lead, there are some interesting shifts worth noting. Conservative Party of Canada, CPC. The Conservatives remain dominant in Alberta, currently projected to win 35 seats, with a range between 33 and 37. While they still hold near total control, the downward trend suggests they might lose a couple of seats compared to previous elections. If their numbers slip toward the lower end of the range, it could signal a small but notable shift in the province's political landscape. New Democratic Party, NDP. The NDP is projected to win one seat with a range of 0 to 2. While historically weak in Alberta, they have found pockets of support in urban centers like Edmonton. If they can push toward the higher end of their projection, it would be a sign of growing progressive momentum in the province. Liberal Party of Canada, LPC. The Liberals are also showing an upward trend, currently projected at one seat, with a possible range between 0 and 3. This suggests they could gain a foothold in select districts, particularly in Calgary or Edmonton, where they have previously seen moderate success. However, competition will be fierce, and they will need strong local campaigns to capitalize on this momentum. Alberta remains a conservative stronghold, but subtle shifts indicate some cracks in their near-total dominance. If the NDP and Liberals manage to secure even a couple of extra seats, it could mark the beginning of a slow but notable political transformation in the province. That being said, with up to 37 seats still in CPC hands, Alberta is likely to remain a key pillar of conservative strength in this election. Next, let's take a look at the Prairies, covering Manitoba and Saskatchewan, where 28 federal districts are up for grabs. Traditionally a stronghold for the Conservatives, this region is seeing some interesting shifts in party support. Conservative Party of Canada, CPC. The Conservatives remain the dominant force, currently projected to win 20 seats, but their range sits between 18 and 22. This slight downward trend suggests they might lose a couple of seats, particularly in urban areas like Winnipeg and Regina, where opposition parties have been gaining ground. Still, with the majority of ridings leaning heavily conservative, they continue to hold a strong position here. Liberal Party of Canada, LPC. The Liberals are holding at 5 seats with a projected range of 4 to 8. While their numbers are stable, there is some room for growth, particularly in urban ridings where they have historically been competitive. If they push toward the upper end of their range, they could make notable gains in the region. New Democratic Party, NDP. The NDP is showing an upward trend, currently projected to secure 3 seats with a range between 0 and 4. This suggests that while their support is growing, it is still fragile. Their best chances lie in pockets of strong progressive support, such as select urban districts in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. If their momentum continues, they could potentially flip an additional seat or 2. The Prairies remain a largely conservative stronghold, but there are signs of small but notable shifts. The NDP and Liberals have the potential to make slight gains, particularly in urban areas, but the Conservatives are still well positioned to maintain a dominant presence. The key question is whether opposition parties can build on their momentum and turn this region into a more competitive battleground in future elections. Now let's move to Ontario, Canada's largest and most influential province in federal elections, with a staggering 122 federal districts up for grabs. As always, Ontario is shaping up to be one of the most fiercely contested battlegrounds. Liberal Party of Canada, LPC. The Liberals are currently leading with 61 seats, but their range extends from 42 to 83, indicating both opportunities for gains and risks of losses. The upward trend suggests they are recovering ground, potentially benefiting from urban support in Toronto and the surrounding GTA. If they can push toward the higher end of their range, they could significantly strengthen their hold on the province and their national seat count. Conservative Party of Canada, CPC. The Conservatives are close behind, currently projected at 57 seats, with a possible range of 34 to 76. While they remain a formidable force in Ontario, the downward trend suggests they could lose ground, particularly in areas where they face strong Liberal and NDP competition. Their performance in suburban ridings will be critical. If they can hold their base and make inroads in key battlegrounds, they still have a path to a strong showing. New Democratic Party, NDP. The NDP is projected to secure 3 seats with a range of 1 to 5. While this number remains low, they have pockets of strong support, particularly in urban centers and working class districts. Their ability to expand beyond their traditional strongholds will be key to increasing their influence in the province. Green Party of Canada, GPC. The Greens are projected to win 1 seat with a range of 0 to 2. Their presence in Ontario remains limited, but if they can consolidate support in environmentally conscious districts, they might be able to hold or gain representation. Ontario is once again proving to be a critical battleground with the Liberals and Conservatives locked in a tight race. The Liberals have momentum, but the Conservatives remain competitive, making this province a major deciding factor in the national outcome. The NDP and Greens will also be looking to hold their ground or expand their presence, making Ontario a province to watch closely as the election unfolds. Now let's take a look at Quebec, where 78 federal districts are in play. This province has historically been a political wildcard, and this election is proving no different, with notable shifts in party standings. Liberal Party of Canada, LPC. The Liberals are currently leading in Quebec with 36 seats, showing an upward trend. Their projected range is between 29 and 40, meaning they have room to grow, but also risks of losing some ground. Their strength lies in Montreal and surrounding areas where they continue to dominate. If they can push toward the higher end of their range, they could secure a commanding presence in the province. Bloc Québécois, BQ. The Bloc Québécois remains a strong force, currently projected at 28 seats, but with a downward trend. Their range of 24 to 37 suggests they still have potential to recover, but are facing stiff competition from the Liberals and, in some areas, the Conservatives. Their ability to rally nationalist sentiment and defend Quebec's interests will determine whether they can maintain or expand their hold. Conservative Party of Canada, CPC. The Conservatives are gaining ground in Quebec, with 13 seats projected and a range of 10 to 15. This upward trend suggests they are making inroads, particularly in rural areas and some suburban ridings. If they continue their momentum, they could further challenge both the Bloc and the Liberals in key districts. New Democratic Party, NDP. The NDP is projected to hold just 1 seat, with no variation in its range. Once a major player in Quebec, their influence has drastically declined from their historic orange wave in 2011. Without significant gains, their presence in the province remains symbolic rather than impactful. Quebec remains a 3-way battleground between the Liberals, Bloc, and Conservatives. The Liberals are currently leading, but the Bloc remains competitive and could regain lost ground. Meanwhile, the Conservatives are gaining momentum, making them a growing force to watch. The NDP, however, appears to be struggling to remain relevant in the province. Now, let's head to Atlantic Canada, where 32 federal districts are in play. This region has traditionally leaned Liberal, but recent elections have shown growing competition from the Conservatives. Let's break down the latest projections. Liberal Party of Canada, LPC. The Liberals are leading with 21 seats, showing an upward trend. Their projected range is between 14 and 28, meaning they could either hold a comfortable majority in the region or face a more competitive challenge. Historically, Atlantic Canada has been a Liberal stronghold, and if they push toward the higher end of their range, they could dominate the region once again. Conservative Party of Canada, CPC. The Conservatives are currently projected at 11 seats, but their trend is downward, with a range between 4 and 18. This suggests they are at risk of losing some of the gains they made in the last election, but they still have the potential to secure a solid foothold if they perform well in key ridings. New Democratic Party, NDP. The NDP is not projected to win any seats in Atlantic Canada, with their range sitting at 0-0. This indicates they are struggling to gain traction in the region despite some past successes in select districts. Green Party of Canada, GPC. Similarly, the Greens are not expected to secure any seats, with a projected range of 0-0. While they have pockets of support, it does not appear strong enough to translate into electoral wins this time around. Atlantic Canada remains largely in Liberal hands, with the party gaining momentum. However, the Conservatives still have opportunities in certain ridings and could make this region more competitive. The NDP and Greens, meanwhile, are struggling to break through. With a wide range of possible outcomes, this region remains one to watch as the campaign unfolds.